Bienvenidos and welcome back to Puro Pinche Gol, the place we discuss all things USMNT y la selección mexicana. My name is Adrian. I'm joined once again by my co-host and Tocayo, Adrian. Adrian, what's good, man?
Hey, how's it going, dude? Sorry, I was on mute. The just finished watching the USMNT match, and I want to hear all about it, man. I want to hear what you have to say. I think uh, I think we're gonna hear some harsh comments today.
Yeah, likewise. I want to hear your thoughts on it too, man. Yeah, let's just get into it before we ruin anything. Uh, as our listeners, watchers here know, I mean, a lot of you guys are USMNT fans, obviously. Y'all must have watched that game. Y'all must have suffered through it with us and
Mhm.
saw that ultimately the U.S. fell in penalties to Panama 5-4. They went to extra time for the second game in a row, penalties for the second game in a row, and yeah, ultimately could not cut it for this match. We talked about in our preview match that this Panama team is their A team, man. It's the team that reached the third play or barely lost, played better than Mexico in the third place match against the Nations League. They were not going to be no pushover. They dominated possession every match, including that match against Mexico in the Nations League third place, and every match they've played so far in the Gold Cup. And that has not changed, man. They dominated possession here, 56% and 44%, had 150 more passes than the USA, had a higher pass accuracy than them, and maybe we're even unlucky to not win it in normal time, right? They
Yeah,
they had one called back for offside, one or two actually, and they maybe got ultimately. I feel they were the deserved winner. I didn't see enough from the USA at all to grant them winning. If they had won on penalties, it would have been sheer luck at that point, or just because penalties come down to who's a better shooter, better under stress, whatnot.
yeah.
But they definitely didn't deserve to win in the 120 minutes USA. Uh, I don't know, man. Let's talk about the lineup first, and then we'll go into each individual performance. I guess
Yeah.
bjcallaghan send out again 4-3-3, the formation we know he likes to send out with Matt Turner in
Mhm.
the back, Reynolds and Jones on the sides defense, left and right back, Robinson in the middle, which we predicted. What we didn't predict at all was Aaron Long starting. We know they had trouble. All center backs had trouble against Canada. Miles Robinson, that handball, Matt Miazga getting beat for Canada's second goal. But we thought it would be either Jalen Neal, Matt Miazga, or Miles Robinson, combo of the three. We did not suspect Aaron Long coming in. Granted, Aaron Long had a not okay. He was getting destroyed by Carrasquilla, and Quintero, but he didn't. Because of him, there weren't any really problems, or no
Yeah.
goal was his culpa, his fault. That's what I'm going for. In the midfield was Bucio, Sands, and Mihailovic, and up top, what we were hoping for was Vasquez starting, Cal and Ferreira to his left and right, respectively. Um, so other than Long, it was pretty. I thought we discussed before the match, pretty decent, pretty strong lineup, right? Vasquez, who we've been clamoring for to started. El Caballo Cal started, replacing Sendejas, who we during the match we figured out he didn't start or he didn't play because of an injury. He picked up a knock. Ferreira kind of moving to the side, on the right forward, letting Vasquez kind of be that central striker role. And
Yeah.
it ultimately just came down, like we said in our preview, to who won the midfield, who won retained possession, and ultimately that was Godoy and Carrasquilla beating Bucio, Mihailovic, and Sands there in the midfield, dominating possession. I've been talking for a good 5 minutes here. I want to hear your take, at least before we really start analyzing the match. What did you think of this lineup?
I mean, honestly, it wasn't necessarily the worst lineup that we've seen on this Gold Cup, right? I don't know if it was the best one so far. I was surprised, I just like you were, to see Aaron Long. Why? I don't know why. I mean, BJ Callahan spent every single match swapping his center back pairs. Why would you have to do it this time? And then on top of that is I was excited to see Caballo Cabo and Jesus Ferreira with Brandon Vazquez in the center. It looks like Sendejas. He left Sendejas on the bench, but it wasn't because he wanted to leave Sendejas on the bench. It looks like Sendejas was injured before the match, so that's the whole reason why he wasn't playing. But if Sendejas would have been healthy or 100% during the match, he would have definitely used it. So I mean, no high expectations because this is not the strongest eligible roster for the USMNT. But man, I was not expecting what we just saw.
Yeah, I mean, you look at obviously you have to look at it perspective wise, right? This is probably the C team or D team, based off how many players US has in Europe and their pool of players. But at the same time, they're playing against countries that have USL based players, MLS based players.
Yeah,
This USA team is all MLS players with some European players sprinkled in there. So you would
yeah,
think that they would have enough, talent to beat these teams. I mean, Panama's no pushover, like we said. They do have some European-based players, but most of their players play in CONCACAF, in the Costa Rican League, Mexican League, MLS. So while the U.S. has like Mihailovic, he plays in Ajax, Azad Alkmaar, uh, Matt Turner, who's probably the only standout, except for that goal for Panama. I think he could have done better, obviously, but he did get exposed there. But yeah, man, I don't know. It was I consider this, even though it's their C and D team, it's a failure, man. We use the term a lot in Spanish when Mexico has a failure. We call it a fracaso. It's a fracaso for the USA, I want to say. I think they have enough talent, even if it is an MLS / European team, to make it to the final at least, or to at least put up a better display than what they did. They went out on a very low note these last two games, barely beating
yeah. It
Canada
was
in
bad.
penalties, and now
Hmm.
here. But I don't know, man. Props to Panama, deserved winners there.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess this is the last we see of bjcallaghan.
Yeah, good riddance. Like, well, not good riddance because he's still gonna be with Triple G, right? But it just makes me wonder if Triple G is playing the puppeteer. Ever since, I don't know if these people are, well, a lot of people who are in favor of Triple G and maybe MLS are gonna say that this is just pure coincidence. But I don't think there's such thing as pure coincidence. Um, I have the feeling that maybe Triple G was or had a heavier role in terms of like advising BJ Callahan, because of the names that we saw in this last lineup, right? I'm pretty sure that no one's going to ask that BJ. I don't think anyone's going to ask BJ Callahan if he was consulting Triple G on any of these matches. I don't think he's even going to come out and say like, yeah, I was following Triple G's advice, or I was following Triple G's lead, right? But I'm still completely confused as to why Aaron Long is starting. I have no idea why Jordan Morris is still part of this team, and it's just interesting. I mean, we thought he fooled us with those Nation Leagues matches, right? With the semifinal and the final, where I mean, we all praised him because he did a great job. He's an interim coach, and all of a sudden he defeats the two best teams in Concacaf, which is Mexico and Canada, with outstandingly. There was no doubt that the USMNT was the best team on both matches whatsoever. So you and I even give him praise as saying like,
Yeah,
well, he must be doing something right. He must know his stuff. Solid displays on these two matches, and all of a sudden everything just came crumbling down after those 6-0 matches against the St. Kitts and Nevis and Trinidad and Tobago. Everything just went downhill, man. I mean,
yeah,
he a tough time. I feel, I don't know if this is like arrogance or just players being cocky, feeling that just because they are part of the USMNT and they're part of one of the big teams in CONCACAF, they feel like that they can just win it by the sheer pressure of their name, or the team they're representing, right?
yeah,
And they just figure that the likes of Panama and other smaller teams are just going to crumble in front of them. But today was a good example of how, yes, we keep on saying that the USMNT has essentially improved their game and their talent development, in leaps in the last 20 years. But this also goes to show that those small countries in CONCACAF are also finding ways to compete against the likes of USMNT, Mexico, Canada. So, yeah, definitely these last few matches have been boring as hell. But we also have to say that CONCACAF teams are doing their best in terms of finding the tools and resources to be as competitive as they can on these kind of matches, right? Because I'm not too sure if the USSF and the USMNT in general feels ashamed of not calling up the A team for this Gold Cup. I mean, we all know that it isn't like they diminished it, but they definitely made the or took the decision of not calling up the best players because they don't see this tournament as a priority, right? And that has been, the approach for the last couple of years. So, will this change anything in in their scope? Will this hit them I guess in their pride and make them realize that, hey, if you claim to be the giant in Concacaf, you have to go all out for every single tournament. Like, I understand that you want to help your European based players to find the correct landing spot, in terms of their next season, and so they can keep on developing. But you have to find a compromise where you have to bring some talent to these matches. Just because you have the USMNT shirt on doesn't mean that you're gonna win it.
Good points, man. Good points. You said a lot. Just to follow up with you, I think, yeah, we may have given bjcallaghan a little too much credit playing, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, Mexico and Canada, who are the two other best teams in CONCACAF. I think, probably a fifth division coach could have won with that team. That's how much talent that USA A team has, right? That A
Yeah.
team is
Mm-hmm.
stacked, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't think this loss diminishes the fact that the USA is still currently probably the big dog, the king of CONCACAF at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Mexico's A squad, Canada's A squad, Panama's A squad, Jamaica's A squad touches the USA's A squad at this point.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
They're far above. But yeah, man. If you want to keep that status of, like you said, of far above of the kings of Concacaf, you got to perform at least in these tournaments, right? You claim USSF claims, or self claims that the Nations League is the big tournament now, that's their priority. But I agree with you 100%. They bring some talent, try to win this, and show that dominance. I mean, you won
Exactly.
Nations League, a Gold Cup, a Nations League. If you want to keep that status as the big dog, keep that streak going. You don't want to lose that. And it just seemed like the last two games they played without any heart. They played without any intensity. They played without
Mm-hmm.
that desire to say, all right, we're going to keep that streak going. As athletes, competitive people, you'd want to be able to say, crap, man, I don't want to lose this streak. I don't want to be the team responsible for, we've won three big tournaments in a row. Now we're going to lose, here. No, I don't know, man. It was bad performance, two bad performances in a row. And
Yeah.
let's just talk about some points of the actual match here, man. I think Ferreira hit the post in like the first or second minute, which would have been a golazo. He eventually
Mm-hmm.
did score a fantastic goal. We like to crap on Ferreira a lot for scoring against these small teams. He's granted Panama is still a small team, larger than the Saint Kitts or Trinidad and
Yeah.
Tobago, right?
Uh-huh.
But uh, they obviously pose a threat, but he scored a golazo. We'll give it to him. That was a great goal. Good pass from Jordan Morris. Did some decent hold up play there. We crap on Jordan Morris as well. I don't think he deserves to be at. He didn't play fantastic, but he wasn't one of the worst players. He assisted on that goal. He made his penalty, a great penalty taken. But yeah, man, Roldan, get him the heck out of here. He's done. I don't know what he was
Yes.
doing there. What a
Yeah,
horrible
no.
penalty. He didn't contribute
Mm-hmm.
at all when he was on the field. How are you going to have Ferreira, who's just went down 10 minutes before, who looked like he pulled a hamstring or something, take a first penalty, start you off wrong? Horrible decision there in order
Yeah.
of penalties. Matt Turner did what he had to do, blocked one, kept them alive, but at the end of the day, it wasn't enough. I don't know. Cade Cal, man, I was kind of disappointed with him. I know we hyped him up before in the preview episode, thinking he was
Mm-hmm.
going to be a catalyst for the USMNT going down that left wing. Um, from these 11 players, or from the whole 23 roster, whatever, who do you say had a good tournament? Who do you say faced
Oof.
with? Who do you say come back when we have the A team or B team? I want you back. I think if I had to choose, I'd say maybe Matt Turner, obviously. But
Yes.
other than that, I thought Mihailovic played decent the tournament. He was probably the biggest uh, threat in midfield. Bulcio was horrendous today. Could not get a single
Mm-mm.
shot on. Reynolds, I thought, had a decent match today with passes and distributing. Same with Jones. The two center backs, Matt Miazga included, I guess, three center backs. Pessimos, disastrous. Vasquez, who did not take his chance
Yeah,
as a start, disappointing. I don't
yeah.
know, man. Who saves face here? Who's able to say I deserve a chance with the A team, if anyone?
Yeah. I think, dude, and this is one of the things that we keep on saying. Like the your pool of players is so vast that you can arguably just ignore all of these players and you'll be okay, right? So it's difficult to find a player that is going to that we can say save some face throughout these 5 matches. If there's anyone that I'm going to mention, I think it's going to be Jalen Neal. Uh, yeah, that's a guy that I see that has potential in future. In trying to challenge for a team spot as a center back. I think he definitely has. Well, from what I've read and from what I heard, is he has attracted some interest from a few European teams, especially in the Bundesliga. So if he can make the jump, maybe in the next 2 years, I can see him definitely, challenging for a center back spot, whether in the bench or as a starting player on the USMNT A team. Other than that, I I don't think there's anyone in here that we can call has quality or has the potential to contend for an A team position, right? Not even the likes of Sendejas, who we continue, we constantly discuss that he was like on the edge, on the very that thin line between being a starting player for the B team and then a
Hmm.
bench team for the A team. But I think, man, this tournament proved that he might not be even that good to be a starting player for the B team.
Yeah.
And he has tough competition on the A team. But other than that, I find it really difficult to name anyone. I know that people love Jesus Ferreira, but I don't think he's up to par with the likes of not even Josh Sargent,
Hmm.
which I would have called for this tournament, if you
Yeah.
ask me. I don't think Brandon Vasquez. It's a shame because I do like Brandon Vasquez. I'm a fan of Brandon Vasquez, but I totally agree with you. He's been given the opportunity to start and to make a difference at the very beginning, and he just chokes on the
Yep.
moment, right? I hope that he continues to play. He moves on to Europe and become a better player. But man, I'm just afraid that we will continue to see some of these faces
Yeah.
thoroughly in the next few years with Triple G. I'm as much as you and I can agree on. There's a very few players that we can say, hey, give him a second chance and bring him up for as a sub for the A team or just as a reserve player for the A team. I think we're gonna see more of them more often than we would like.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you are right, especially with the MLS, pro MLS agenda that USSF likes to push. And again,
Uh
nothing
huh.
against MLS. MLS has its place. It develops great players, sends players to Europe on a great, quick basis, man. It's a great feeder league to Europe. And it has its moments of entertainment, but a lot of these players that just are not up to it, man. There are those players that are. Jalen Neal was one of the stood out ones that stands out. Zimmerman has been one in the past 2-3 years has stood out. Miles Robinson had a horrible tournament, but he's normally good when he plays with the A team. He plays decent. So yeah, disappointing to say the least, man. As the program, the USSF, US Soccer grows and to greater heights and to the kings of CONCACAF, right? With that comes greater expectativa, greater expectations from the fans. And to say that the fans were let down today is an understatement. I think they
It
were
is.
greatly let down. We've come to expect bigger things from this team.
Yeah.
And even though this is a D team, C team, D team, it's still disappointing. Congrats to Panama. Mexico, Jamaica are about to kick off. Could it be Mexico's record 9 gold cups, or will it be Jamaica or Panama's first? We'll find out. We'll have our reactions video to the Mexico Jamaica match um, tomorrow, July 13th.
Mhm.
But yeah, so stick it here with PBG. As we take off, Adrian, man, where can our listeners find us? And if you can, remind everybody about the giveaway.
For sure. So before I remind them where can they find us, y'all gotta listen to this. Our giveaway is still on. Don't forget to subscribe. You have to be a subscriber to be eligible for the giveaway, right? So last week we posted a video to commemorate our 250 subscribers on the channel. So go to that video, which we'll post on the description below. You have to go to that video, make a comment on which shirt would you like, whether if it's a USMNT shirt or an L3 shirt, and make also comment who is your favorite player from the USMNT or L3. It doesn't have to be a current player; it could be a historical player, right? If you like Andres Guardado, say that you like Andres Guardado. If you like Ariel Antuna, you're wrong. Um, but again, you have to be a subscriber. You have to make a comment on that video, specifically that video, to be considered eligible for the giveaway. And we will give away the shirt after the Gold Cup final, which is this Sunday. So after the game is done, we will name the winner of our giveaway. And now you can always find us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notifications. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast on. Last but not least, you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram. We post stuff every now and then at Puro Pinche Gol.
Yes, sir. Make sure you follow us. And Adrian, man, let's take off here. Go watch the Mexico game. See how that plays out. Mexico, Jamaica, battling it out for the final spot in the Gold Cup final. Always a pleasure with you, my man. I'll see you later.
Likewise, take it easy.
See ya.